Welcome back to Cheddar's Opening Bell, everyone. Huawei releasing its latest financial report for 2020. The company's net revenue did grow 3.2% for the year, but that was slower than the year before's growth of 19%. And actually, sales in the fourth quarter did decline. This as we're starting to see the impact from the ongoing U.S. sanctions that recently started. So joining me now from China is Andrew Williamson, Vice President of Global Government Affairs and an economic advisor at Huawei. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Obviously, the fourth quarter, a rare loss in terms of sales for your company. Do you expect those challenges to continue?
Well, look, I mean, 2020 was a very difficult year, obviously, for many businesses and for people personally. I think the upside is that, despite facing multiple headwinds, the company was able to grow by 33.8% year on year in terms of total revenue. And profits were up also at 3.2%, reaching just under $10 billion, $9.9 billion. So that's really testament to the resilience, if you like, of the company. Yes, we were hit quite hard on the consumer business group, no doubt about that. But there were some bright spots. Certainly, the enterprise business group and cloud computing division within that saw some really robust, stellar growth as we saw, lots of companies accelerate their digital transition. So the enterprise business group actually grew by 23% in 2020.
Let's talk about the smartphone unit, Andrew. Actually, that was the segment that came under the most pressure, sales of smartphones, and obviously those U.S. sanctions, which include a chip ban, impacted the inputs for some of those smartphones. Is that going to be a challenge going forward?
Yes, it's going to be a challenge. It's not just Huawei that suffered from these politically driven decisions. There has been really kind of, turmoil within the semiconductor industry. We've seen that throughout last year and into this year. Huawei was one of the largest procurers of semiconductors in the world. So, the repercussions of that have hit US companies also very, very hard. I mean, that's just what's happened in recent times. But we've also seen the unintended consequences of these actions through the shortage of semiconductor supply. We're seeing this hitting US auto manufacturers, for example. So, clearly we will be hit. Be continued to be hit on these restrictions, but also, there's the wider context about, the whole global value chain itself also being damaged and disrupted.
I do want to talk about U.S. relations and conversations that you have been having, if you've been having them, with the Biden administration. Obviously, we saw the first in-person meeting between Chinese officials and the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, in Alaska last week be a bit contentious. And these sanctions do still exist. And so what are those conversations that you're having with the Biden administration?
Oh, we're not having any conversations as yet with the Biden administration. We know this is a very new administration. They have many issues to tackle. So as yet, we're not having those conversations. But we would raise the call for action, obviously. That given these trade restrictions, these impacts, these unintended consequences on global value chains, the way it's hitting many US companies as well in the tech sector, that these problems should be urgently resolved.
President Trump did, on the global scale, really go after Huawei and the build out of 5G. Even though you haven't had conversations with the Biden administration, we are expected to hear about his infrastructure plan officially today, and that does include the build out of 5G infrastructure. Is the door going to be open? Are you looking to connect with him at some point so that there can be a better relationship with this administration versus the last one?
Of course, we've always been very open to any conversations to resolve these issues. We have operated, we continue to operate in over 170 countries around the world. We have helped build and oversee 1,500 networks. There's never been a major cyber security issue that has hit any of those networks. We need urgently some agreement on global standards for cybersecurity and data privacy, all these types of other issues that are boiling up. Need to be resolved, and we are very welcome to join any of those types of discussions to work through these issues.
I do want to talk about the enterprise business. We did, as we mentioned there, see the smartphone business of your company come under pressure in the latest quarter. Again, not a usual quarter for your company, that sales actually fall in the fourth quarter. They were up on an annual basis. But as you look beyond just the smartphone business of Huawei phones, what does the enterprise business offer you?
Well, the enterprise business is still the smallest division within the company, but as I say, we've seen through the pandemic this great acceleration of trends that were already apparent, and a lot of it is about digital transformation for businesses. So we see enormous potential here as a world-leading supplier of hardware and also services for cloud computing, and there's been essentially explosive growth occurring in China as the build out of 5G, the essential infrastructure underpinning the digital economy is rapidly moving forward. You're starting to see all these developments in companies, all these new products and services, which means lots of companies are migrating to cloud computing. So a lot of the potential growth that we have as a company, and always saw this, is coming through there. But that's not to say the consumer business group is kind of finished. We have something called the 1+8+N strategy, and the 8 is actually all the pads, the laptops, the other consumer durables, the wearables that we produce, and actually we've seen pretty good growth in those. And N is all the potential that we can see in the Internet of Things, all the devices that could be connected through Harmony operating system, through 5G connectivity and cloud computing. So lots of upside potential for the company.
Andrew, as we see and do anticipate that Joe Biden will outline his $2 trillion infrastructure plan here in the U.S. today, we know that over years, China has been investing tens of billions of dollars into your company to build out that 5G infrastructure. What are the goals for your company when it comes to 5G this year?
What are the goals? Well, I mean, the Chinese government hasn't been giving money to Huawei. Let's just correct that. We're in a competitive market with overseas sellers as well, including Ericsson. We pitch for work and we sell our equipment to the Chinese telecom operators. A big part of that phase one rollout is already underway and happening. So following on from that, there'll be phase two of the China build out, but we're still doing really well internationally. Rollouts are occurring quite rapidly also in Europe for 5G, and we're helping telco operators build out there, and other parts of the world as well, Asia Pacific, and parts of Latin America as well. So generally the prospects, the potential for us still looks pretty good on 5G infrastructure.
Okay, I'm Andrew Williamson, Vice President of Global Government Affairs and an Economic Advisor at Huawei. I do appreciate you sitting down with me today.